everyone. I've been playing around wanting to make some bird ephemera for my junk journals. And so I've been using a lot of book pages and magazine images and scraps and stamps and all kinds of just things that are laying around, just kind of compiling them all together to create stuff with, because I got to use up some of this stuff. And I know you guys know what I mean, because we do tend to collect a lot of it. So I wanted to show you these little journal cards that I made. And like I said, it's all just scraps. This is a scrap of painted paper back here. This is the base of it actually is a piece of book page that it was a half a sheet, and I folded it over and glued it together to make it more sturdy. And so that's what the base of that is. And then over here, I added a piece of tissue paper. You might have seen me use that before. It's a little piece of tissue paper that I took some different colored ballpoint pens and just doodled little scribbles, swirlies on. These are just these little Bic pens that come in all the different colors. And so I just scribbled with them. And it makes just the cutest little thing to attach to a background. And so that's what I did here, and I love how it looks. Every time I use it, I love how it looks. And this little bird image on a branch was from an old planner, and I never want to let those little images go in the trash or the recycle bin. I want to try to use them and share, as many of them as possible, because they're just too sweet to throw away. I mean, look how adorable this little bird is. It's so cute. And then this one is the same kind of little backing with that book paper. And I put a piece of a coffee stained doily in the background here, and added a piece of scrapbook paper back here in the background, the one you see with this little pattern on it. And then I just added a little faux postage stamp and a little washi sticker and a label that I stamped out, and added the word hopeful, and of course added the little bird, which is the star of the show. And I stitched around the outside. I thought that would be fun, and I really love how it looks. So that's the other one that I've done so far, and I just wanted to make a few more and show you guys how I'm doing it. And I wanted to share with you too, if you didn't see my recent posts, I have a sheet of these little birds. I made them in a small format so that they're perfect size to fit on these little embellishment pieces. And that's available in my Ko-fi shop. So you can find that in the link at the end of the video, and it'll also be in the description. I took that sheet and I've cut up all of those little birds, so they're all just laying in here waiting for me to use them. And I'm going to use a few of those today. Not only am I using these little book pages made into little cards, I'm also altering some envelopes, which I think is a fun idea too. And this is one that's been covered in magazine bits and pieces. It was all on the same page, but it's all pieced together. You can see how this doesn't match here. But once you cut it into small pieces, you really don't notice that so much. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to cover these little corner areas too, where the paper, I didn't do any kind of rounding or anything. I just cut straight strips. So just want to disguise some of that white. I mean, it's not necessary, but I might as well. And I'm going to put a bird on this envelope. But I thought this bird would be really pretty. And I want to take some more magazine paper. I thought I'd just put a sky behind him. I think I like this one the best. I'm going to cut it off, and I'm going to put it inside here and just glue it inside the back of the envelope. So we have a little sky back there. I think that's kind of cool. You can always put something else along with it, but it's kind of fun to make a scene. It's just something fun that I was thinking I might do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tear that off, because I know I don't want the whole length of it. And we'll get that glued in just a minute. Limb that he's sitting on is not attached to anything, and he should be attached, not floating in the air. So I did die cut at a little branch that I thought I would put here, and I'll cut this one off. But I can cut it, I believe, so that his little feet will fit right around this branch instead of that branch. So I'm just going to play around for a few minutes and see what I can accomplish. I will tell you what, those little teeny tiny feet were not easy to cut. There's a benefit to keeping a white line around stuff. And I don't usually do this kind of fussy cutting. I don't really enjoy it when it's this tedious. But for this one, I did want it to be cut out. So I'm willing to do that every now and then. Okay. So see, now his little feet will fit right on that branch, just like they were fitting on the other branch. Isn't that cool? I love it. And while I was cutting, I was thinking about the little sky here. And I think I want to add a little bit of my own clouds, just a little bit. Maybe I'll make some of these a little whiter that are up here already. It already adds so much more dimension. That's pretty cool. And we'll let that dry for a minute while I'm attaching my little branch. All right, and I'll probably have to use a little bit of Fabri-Tac to make it stick to this slick window. And if I haven't told you guys this before, when your Fabri-Tac starts getting real thick and hard to get out of the bottle, don't throw it away. Get some acetone. Get 100% acetone. You get it right where the nail polish removers are in the store. It's very inexpensive. And you use a little bit of that in your bottle and mix it all up, and it makes this like brand new again, where it just flows so nice and easily. So you can revive it. I just did that with this one. That's what reminded me to tell you. And it makes a world of difference. You don't have to squeeze it as hard, and it just comes out exactly like it's supposed to. All right, and this should be dry now. Yep. Let's see how that looks. That's pretty nice. I love that. Isn't that cool? And if you ever do these and if your envelope is too long for like the size of your page, you can always go ahead and make it in the long version. And then you can trim it off as needed. Like I would probably end up cutting this one down just a little bit. Okay, so I just cut that off the bottom. It makes absolutely no difference. It looks like this bird is just up high in a limb and kind of looking down and around at all this stuff kind of in the distance. So I just think that is really fun. I cut a tiny little sliver off the top edge too. So now I'll be able to open that up and place this image in there where I want it. I'm going to leave it where it is. I guess I can straighten it up a little. And then I'm just going to glue it all closed because I'm not going to use this as a pocket to put anything in because I want to keep my little scene. And then I'll just use this to tip in onto another journal page. And I can use the back side if I want to decorate that. I just think this is so fun, and what a fun way to use the little bird images. So happy with that. Okay, this one I want to make is another little, just a little journaling card. What I did was I took a piece of music paper and I glued it to a piece of coffee stain paper. And then I inked around the edges just a little bit to give it a little bit more vintage look. This music actually says 1947 on the copyright. So I thought it'd be cool to make the paper look a little older. So after I did the inking, I stitched around the outside edge, which is always fun, adds texture and just a bit of interest. So on this one, I'm going to use this little stamped image. This is my own stamp. I made it out of those kids' foam sheets, but I've used it a lot in different things, and I'm going to use it again here. Actually, I have one of my journals sitting here. This was back in 2021. I was doing a container garden out in my backyard, and I used that same little stamp here. And I'm also going to make a little pot similar to this one to put this in because I have a bird that I want to perch on the edge of the pot. I cut out, well, first I just painted this rust colored orange spice craft paint, and I just painted it on a piece of scrap paper. And of course the whole pot's not going to fit on here with the leaves, so I'm going to have the pot coming off the bottom, kind of like I did that other one. And I do need to add a little bit more paint to make it look more like a pot. I love that. So I came across a little piece of coffee stained fabric, and it was just a little piece about this big. And so I just kind of ruffled it up and stitched it on the top of this little card. And so now I've got another envelope that I'm in the process of altering. So I'm just using these neutral book papers and just sticking them all over the front of the envelope. This actually was a really big envelope and it's cut in half. So it was, this wide. I had used the other half for another project. And so this half I still had, and I thought this would be a good one to use with one of my little birds. The bird I'm going to put on this one is this real pretty teal colored bird. I'll put that right about here, I think. I'm going to leave him on his little branch, just like that. And I'm also going to attach one of my little scrappy borders. I took a handful of these darker brown papers and I cut little squares and then I glued them to a strip of magazine paper. That's the dark paper that you see right there. And then after the glue was dry, I stitched it on my sewing machine. And then I came back and added a piece of double-sided tape. So I think I'll just go ahead and attach this. That way I'll know where my little bird can go and I won't be covering him up with this. That looks gorgeous. And I use this teal thread in my sewing machine. So that kind of goes right along with my little bird. Love it. And I have one more thing I'm going to add that has some teal on it, and that's this little heart button. I tied it up with embroidery floss. So I'm going to put that right in the middle. That little area right there is the only piece of this grid paper that I had in this pile, and I didn't use it anywhere else. And I thought, since that's by itself, I just decided to add this little button, which I think is a good little touch. Right, so now my bird can go right about here, I think. That is so fun. Love it. These are all going to be so much fun to put in my journals. I have another one here that I've already kind of created the base part because there was a lot of sewing on this one. But it's just an index card. And they make really cute tags or journaling cards for your journals. And so all I did was took a little piece of fabric and I glued it on with a glue stick. And then after that glue was dry, I sewed around the edges. And I sewed on a little piece of ribbon and a little piece of lace right there. And then I came back and added a little bit of that same ribbon with a wider piece of lace and made a little tab and sewed it on at the top. I just love it. I just love the colors of it, all of it. And then I have a little bird, I have a little yellow bird that I'm going to put on this one. I think it's really sweet. And a quote. Okay, so I have one more I wanted to do with you today, and what it is just a piece of sheet music, and I doubled it up to make it sturdy, and I'm just going to make a pocket out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little thumb notch on it right here, just to signify that it is a pocket. I've got some scraps, a couple of pieces of security envelopes, a couple of different patterns, and a little tag in these pretty kind of vintagey colors, and they had some grays in them, so I thought that would look nice with this. So the music paper doesn't really hold any purpose other than being my base, because I'm going to completely cover it with these little bits. That's a pretty little pocket. I'm going to just draw a little border this time. It would be beautiful sewn, but not everything needs to be sewn. And if you don't have a sewing machine, then add faux stitching or just border around. It's just as lovely. That's what I did on this one. I just drew a border around, and it looks great. I don't have a problem with that at all. My bird I'm going to use is a black bird that was on that sheet. And he's going to sit here. And I was thinking I might put this little scallop punch scrapbook paper behind him, just to add a little bit of more interest. The label might be a little bit too big. I had some more labels here. Here's one that was sort of neutral. Let's see. Yeah, I think I like it better being smaller. And I could probably find a word to put on here too. So I found a little word that I'm going to use. Just simply says cherish. Oh, that's really nice. I'm going to make a nice little pocket in a journal. Oh, cool. I love that so much. I love all of these, you guys. They have really brought me a lot of joy to create. And there's still so many left on the sheet, which is even more fun to come, which I'm really looking forward to. And I did want to mention too that this bird and this bird are not on the sheet that I showed you earlier. This one, they're not on this sheet. They were included on an earlier printable that I had put out for my members over on Ko-fi. I had those cut out and wanted to use those, which is why I did, just to give you an idea of what you can do with these cute little bird images and how much fun they are. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this as much as I have, and I hope you will get out your scraps and create some fun things, because the scraps end up making the cutest projects. And I am always so excited, and it feels so rewarding to take leftovers and scraps that would normally be thrown in the trash and make something wonderful with them. and something usable and something enjoyable. So I hope you guys will get out your scraps and do the same thing. So take care, everyone, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.